If you celebrate happy 4th of July, happy 4th of July. Welcome. This is Outschool Live. My name is Megan, and I have two guests with me tonight. So I'm super excited. We'll get them introduced in just a moment. But Outschool, if you're not familiar with, is a platform for learners ages 3 to 18. We offer live online classes. We also offer asynchronous online classes. We have over 140,000 classes in our class catalog. So there is literally something for everyone within the class catalog. So let us know in the comments where you're watching from. I am in South Carolina. I'm on the East Coast. Unfortunately, it's raining, so it's not quite firework weather tonight. But when I scheduled our Outschool Live for tonight, we go live on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. I thought, well, who's going to join me live on 8 p.m. on 4th of July? And I had wanted to have Cory on anyway. Kiana was a special bonus. And why did I think of you, Cory? Why did you pop into my head as being available on the 4th of July?
Well, that is because we don't celebrate the 4th of July over here in Japan. And it's not even the 4th of July anymore. It's July 5th. It is 9 o'clock in the morning.
So good morning to you on July 5th. Yes, absolutely. And so I thought, well, Cory won't be celebrating the 4th of July. And I had wanted to have you all on anyway. We're going to be talking about just exploring rabbit holes. And you all popped into my mind so perfectly because I just love following your journey on Instagram as homeschoolers in Japan. So welcome. So when we say rabbit holes, what pops into your mind?
Well, what pops into my mind is that you're studying one thing and you have no intention of studying another thing, and then a little hole opens up. You're like, that looks interesting. How about if we peek in? And sometimes that hole takes us about 5 minutes, and sometimes that hole is very deep and we do not come back for another 2 hours. But it's really, really fun. That's some of the best learning we've done as well.
Yeah, curiosity based, interest based, right? Just diving in and seeing what you uncover. It's really nice sometimes to step off the planned pathway. So I love
Mhm.
it. So you all are homeschoolers in Japan. Well, not so much you, Cory. I mean, you're a homeschooling parent, right? But you've completed your young person education. Now you're in a continuing education mode, right? And Kiana, you are a homeschooler. So what are some of the ways that you have utilized Outschool for exploring your rabbit holes? And I understand, just as a spoiler, I understand there's maybe a top 5 ranking list that you've got going on for us tonight. Is that true?
Yep, we couldn't decide about all the rabbit holes, and so we had to narrow it down to 5 areas in Outschool that have really opened up a lot of rabbit holes for us.
I love it. So you want to kick us off with number 5?
Sure. So I'm going to introduce the rabbit hole title, and then Kiana will talk about where she has gone through that rabbit hole.
I
Okay.
love that partnership. Great.
All right. Number 5 is world geography. Okay, Kiana, where have you gone in the world geography rabbit hole?
Well, I'm taking a class that we learn about a different country each week and their culture and geography and some like cool landmarks. And a lot of times, I get really interested in one of them, and then after the class, I go to YouTube or just the internet and I research more about it.
I love that. I feel like, especially, I mean, some people aren't able to travel because of budget or because of other life issues. All of our pandemic kids, right, that were stuck at home for so long and lost so much time that they might have otherwise been out exploring. You can explore virtually. So that's pretty
And it
awesome.
was been sorry, it's been really good because I'm from America. Her father is Japanese, so she's been back and forth between America and Japan, but she hasn't seen many other places outside of those two countries. So that's been really great to open her up to other places in the world.
I love that. Excellent. I am going to go ahead before we introduce our next topic. If my computer mouse decides that it would like to cooperate, there we go. Every once in a while, technology just has a mind of its own, doesn't it? I am going to go ahead and add to the comments here a link to the geography class that Kiana has been taking and absolutely loves. So feel free to check that out. On my screen, it's showing up that it posted it to YouTube. I hope it posted it to Facebook as well. If it didn't for some reason, I'll go back to Facebook when we're done live and add all the links to the comments. So Oh, yeah, it looks like it did go to Facebook, but if anybody wants to let me know in the comments if you can see it, that would be amazing. Excellent. So if you're just joining us, we are talking about exploring rabbit holes, and how Cory and Kiana have used Outschool, which is an online learning platform for kids ages 3 to 18, in their rabbit hole exploration. Let's go ahead and do number 4 on your list, and then I think I'm gonna go ahead and slip out a coupon for anybody who wants to try their first Outschool class. So what do you have for number 4, my friends?
All right, so number 4 is I keep going the wrong side, Animal Activist Club. And that actually connects a little bit to world geography because, can explain the rabbit hole connection.
I actually learned about something connected to animals, like a tourist attraction, on the world geography class. And I really thought it was kind of, not to say suspicious, but it was kind of strange. And I researched it more and found that there's like a lot of problems with it. And I learned about it so much, and I was so passionate kind of about it that I actually did a presentation on in my animal activist club about it.
I love that. That is so fantastic. And your rabbit hole led to another rabbit hole, which also led to what led to activism, led to empathy, led to all sorts of things when it comes to animals. That's so wonderful.
And the wonderful thing about that Animal Activist Club is that the kids can volunteer to do presentations. And so she's gained so many other skills through that. So she arranged the PowerPoint presentation on her own. She's a shy kid, but she did public speaking because it was something she was truly interested in. Yeah, so that was a really great experience.
I love that, right? It's so much more than just one thing when you can kind of
Mhm.
branch out and have all those skills come together. And it's true, when you enjoy the topic, it doesn't seem like work, or it doesn't seem
Mhm.
overwhelming, or it doesn't seem intimidating to do a presentation because you are intrigued about the topic.
Yeah, I think the passion for saving the animals took over from the nervousness and the shyness. I just have to tell you all about this.
Exactly. I don't blame you. And Kiana, I'd be right there with you. I have similar things. We were traveling one time, and somebody had recommended a ranch that we should stop at, and it was not a ranch. And I have a child who's very similar, and there were many tears as we left because it was not at all a ranch or an animal focused place. So I'm so glad that that exists, that the younger generation can kind of enter situations like that aware, right? And kind of ask some questions, and see it at deeper than surface value sometimes,
Yeah.
which is wonderful. Well, before we get to number 3, as promised, a coupon code. If you haven't tried an Outschool class yet and you would like to, there's a coupon here code called Go Live 10. It'll take $10 off your first class. At the start of our live tonight, I said that we have over 140,000 classes in the class catalog. So if you're sitting there thinking to yourself, yeah, but how do I even know what class to pick? Send a message. Send a message through any of our, you can comment on this video, you can send a private message, and either myself or my coworker Sarah man those inboxes and are more than happy to understand what you're looking for, the age of your child, and make some hand-picked recommendations for you. So don't feel overwhelmed by the size of the catalog. If you do go to the website and you decide to do it on your own, there's also a lot of filters on the website. So you can filter by age, you can filter by price, you can filter by time zone. So if you live in Japan and you don't want to have to sift through a bunch of stuff that happens at 2 a.m. your time, you can get rid of those from the search results, right? So don't be intimidated by any of that. We're happy to help, but you've got a coupon code that you can use for your first class. So, if you're just joining us, we're talking about exploring rabbit holes and interest led learning. So, and Cory and Kiana have put together a top 5 list of their rabbit holes. So, what's number 3 on your list, ladies?
Number 3 is psychology. Kim is very,
Ooh.
very interested in psychology. And a lot of classes for kids this age, she's 13, will just be kind of a surface level. Like there are introverts versus extroverts, or there were
There are
experiments
different
with
types of
dogs.
people.
Yeah. So she has very specific interests. I will let her explain that to you.
My biggest interests in psychology are mental disorders and narcissism.
Ooh. Can I? So you don't have to answer me if you don't want to, because I'm not a psychologist and we wouldn't have a session live on the internet anyway. But what is it about psychology that you find so interesting, Kiana?
I really find different, I guess, people interesting, and why someone would think that way or do something like that, and just how their mind works, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So the wonderful thing about Outschool is that you can go in and you can find an entry-level psychology class for kids who are just interested in what is the field. But there are so many different teachers on Outschool that we could go in specifically and say, we would like to learn more about narcissism, and professional psychologists pop up
Mm-hmm.
with classes that can explain that to you. And not just somebody like me who's like, I've read a book about that. Let me talk about it with you. It's somebody who's actually has a degree in that field and is a professional in that field.
Yeah. It's so true. I remember, so my boys are kind of engineering nerd gearhead kind of kids, right? And they always want to know how things work and things about motors and stuff like that, right? And at one point during the pandemic, my youngest kid was taking a class by a guy who was retired Air Force, and I think he was a commercial airline pilot then at that time. And so he took a whole class on airfare combat, right? Warfare throughout the history. He took a class on mid-air refueling. But the coolest thing was, it wasn't from somebody who had read a book about this or whatever. It was somebody who had done mid-air refueling missions and was able to say, well, and then when the kids had questions, he'd be like, oh, well, if that happens, you do this or whatever, right? So it's really interesting because you have people on Outschool who are doctors, who are lawyers, who are professional artists, who are professional authors, published authors, that are coming in with real life experience and sharing it with kids who have interest in the thing that they love too. So it's a really pretty magical combination.
Yeah. And it's been great because a lot of the teachers will mention that when Kiana asks more in-depth questions on things that she's researched on her own. Just, oh, it's so great to talk to someone who really, really has a true interest in this field. Yes. And the teachers get excited too because they want to share their what they know about that subject.
Yeah. I mean, whether you're 10 or 20 or 50, when you meet somebody who is into the same thing as you, like even just an adult who's into the same book series or something, right? You're like, oh my gosh, have you read the newest installment? And the thing, right? It's exciting when you come with another person. And so the really powerful thing is you've got that with the educator, but then Kiana, do you also find that the other kids in your classes are also really, not to be cheesy, but I do love a pun, that they're also pretty psyched about psychology class too when you get there?
It's great to like meet other learners who have the same interests, because you can just you naturally become friends because you're interested in the same thing.
Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting. So sometimes through the Facebook channels, we get something that'll say like, I'm looking for opportunities for my 12-year-old to socialize. And it'll be like, okay, that's great. But just because two people are 12 doesn't mean they're automatically going to be friends, right? In the same way that I could meet another person who lives in my town who's 42 and we might hit it off, we might not, right? But the reality is I'm probably going to have an easier time making friends with somebody who, loves pizza and junk food and reading historical fiction and staying up way too late at night reading. Those are the people that I'm going to connect with, not somebody just based upon my age. So the fact that you can find other friends, Kiana, who are into animal activism and psychology, boom, right? And maybe you wouldn't find those friends in your town in Japan, but that doesn't matter.
Right. That is a really big point, because there's a big difference between the education system and the education style with America and Japan. And kids in Japan very seriously go to school and very seriously study.
There is no time to relax. You just go to camp school every single day for like 5 million hours.
So it's been really good for her to find other people who are allowed to study a little bit more freely what they're actually interested in. So Outschool has been very helpful in that way.
I love that. Excellent. Well, so I put on the screen, and this is a completely unbiased opinion because it's not myself or your mom, Kiana, but somebody on the internet, and the internet does not lie, says Kiana is amazing, and I totally concur with that thought. I've gone ahead and added to the chat the links to your animal activism club and also the 2 psychology teachers that you are taking classes with as well. So we've got those. If you're just joining us, we are working through a top 5 list of things that Kiana and Cory love about Outschool when it comes to exploring rabbit holes or topics of interest, right? And just kind of going, I wonder how that happens, or I wonder about this, and just diving in full force. If you're not familiar with Outschool, we are an online platform. We have classes. We have over 140,000 classes, and we have classes for kids that range in age between 3 and 18. So if you've not tried a class with us before, I've got a coupon code for you. And so ponder that, and we will get to number 2 on your list. Cory and Kiana, go ahead.
You ready? Number 2 is I can't get the camera right even after all these. Learner community. All right. Kiana, learner community. Well, she has a lot to say on this topic.
Oh, you're going to make our learner community team very happy because they are talk about passionate about what they do. They are amazing. So you're going to make their day by telling everybody how much you love learner community. Go for it.
So learner community has all free classes and groups. All of the classes, if you can find something in your time zone, are like free or refunded after the class. And they also have groups which are not live classes. So wherever you are in the world, you can enter, and you don't have to. It's not live. It doesn't go on at 2 a.m.
Which is a bonus when you live in Japan, right? Yes, absolutely. But even a bonus also maybe for kids who go to traditional school. And so they have daytime hours or in school, and then they have swim class or piano lessons or whatever. You can pop in when you have the time, when your schedule is available, and enjoy learner community events. So I put a link to the learner community in the chat here. So what kinds of things do you do in the learner community that you find fun, Kiana?
You can talk with learners all over the world. You can make posts, so you can ask, for example, does anyone else like this kind of cat breed, I guess, and you might find someone else who's into that. There's a bunch of events and challenges, so each month is a new theme. So we just finished theme month, and now we're going into the Great Outschool Campout. So there's a bunch of challenges you can do, and you can pick a team, and you can earn points for your team, and you can either Team Cheese, Team Avocado, or Team Chavocado will win at the end of the summer.
I love it. I know we're all super excited right now for the Great Outschool Campout. In our parent communities and on our YouTube channel, we have a whole bunch of events that are coming up. Sorry, I just covered you up, Kiana. I wanted to share this beautiful comment, but I'll take it down in just a second. So we have a bunch of events that are coming up this month between Great Outschool Campout. We have partnerships with Patagonia. We have an author visit coming up. We have a virtual campfire. This week we're baking s'more cookie bars. We're doing paper quilling. We're quilling a campfire design. This will be my first time paper quilling. There's an educator who's leading it, which I'm super excited about. I need another hobby. Talk about rabbit holes. I do not need another hobby, but I'm super excited for my beginner quilling set to come in the mail. Right? So we have so much going on, and you nailed it, Kiana. They're all free, right? They are absolutely free. Cory, do you have concerns about, so Kiana, here she is, she's sitting here, she's a new teen and saying, I talk to kids all over the world. Is this disconcerting for you at all, Cory? Are you panicked about this open communication?
I imagine if there are parents out there who don't know Outschool, they're thinking, yeah, what's going on? They just let them all talk to each other all over the world. No, that is the really good thing about Outschool, is that Kiana enjoys chatting with other people through the groups, but sometimes she'll come to me and say, there's this one kid who really has the same interests, and I really think we could be friends. I'd like to talk to that kid just by myself, like via email or something.
Yeah, because one thing is, when you talk to other kids on the platform, all of the mods and everyone else can see it. It's not private. It's not secret. Even if 2 other kids are talking, you can just tap on their thread, and then you can just join them or see them. So it's not private.
So it's being watched. It's being monitored via Outschool. And then if Kiana comes to me and she says, there's some kid I'd really like to get to know just personally, then I, as a parent, can contact that child's parent through Outschool. and say, would it be okay with you if our children talk to each other privately? And once that other parent gives consent, then the parents exchange how the kids will communicate via email, via messenger kids, something like that. So then we all know who's talking to who, and there's always an adult who can step in at any time.
Exactly. So there's peace of mind. And sometimes we get comments like that, like, well, there's free lessons on YouTube all day long. Why wouldn't I just do that? Right. And so if it's a class, the difference is that you've got the support of an educator, whether it's a live class or a flex class. If you get stuck, you message somebody and you have an instantaneous helpline. Right. If it is a group or something like that that's asynchronous, it's all being monitored by an Outschool mod or a team member, an educator, making sure that our standards are being followed, right? We have community standards of practice about bullying and respect and things like that. And so it is just, there's a zero tolerance, but I shouldn't even really say it's zero tolerance because we really don't have, it's a beautiful community that's been cultivated. And so we just really don't have a lot of issues that ever really pop up, which is a wonderful thing.
Kiana talks about that a lot, actually. She said, it's amazing how positive everybody is and how supportive and accepting everyone is. So when you hear outside news or other places or things going on in the world, she said, wow, that would never happen on Outschool. Everybody's so nice. Yeah.
It's wonderful. So you don't have to worry about putting them on Outschool, but there's controls, there's safety things in place, all that stuff. But then you can help connect them offline and you can make some friends, which is pretty awesome as well.
And so there was a comment just now. Oh, I'm sorry. There was a comment
ahead.
Just now, the woman talking about the flex classes because her child is very shy. That's a really wonderful thing. The flex classes on Outschool, as well as the learner community, because those are not, it's different than a live direct class. So that way you can communicate with other kids and through that say, would you like to do something together? Would you like to work on a project together? So kids can really go at their own pace and decide how much they want to put themselves out there.
Yeah, I love the flex class option and especially for certain things, whether it's because a child is shy or maybe has anxiety. Sometimes you have a kid who just enjoys marinating over content a little bit more and doesn't want to have to push through in a 45 or 50-minute session to get through it. We're going to talk about a topic in a couple of minutes that'll tie into this, but I feel like sometimes some of the more creative ventures, whether it's sewing or something like that. I mean, anybody who's ever sewn anything knows that every once in a while that seam ripper needs to come out, right? And so it's really tough because if you're in a live environment where the teacher's keeping pace and you've got a goof and you're sitting there, it can really, that pressure can really start to come on top of you. And so being able to do it on a flex class where you pause it and go, all right, back to square one, let's figure this out, right? And not having that timed clock on you can really be a benefit for so many things. So if you are just joining us, we are running through the top 5 things, and this was a tough one to narrow down. Am I right, Kiana and Cory?
Yes.
We are running through 5 ways that Cory and Kiana, as homeschoolers living abroad in Japan, use Outschool to explore rabbit holes, just curiosities, points of interest, right? And so we've already talked about, I'm cheating off my cheat sheet here, we've talked about world geography, animal activism, psychology, and the learner community. And there's links for all of those in our live stream. So if you'd like to explore any of those further, you can. If you've not taken a class on Outschool before, I have a coupon code for you right here. And if you comment or send a DM, I'll be happy to help you find a class to use it for, to get started, something that would interest your kiddo. But we are up to your number 1 pick on your top 5 list. So do we need a drum roll? We could kind of like... Drum roll for your top rabbit hole exploration. What do you have for us?
All right. Top number 1 for us is art. Well, this has opened a whole entire new world for Kiana, and this is going to connect to flex classes and future and things she's doing now for work. It's going to be a big rabbit hole. So go ahead, Kiana. I'll let you take over.
Take it away.
Do we start with Procreate? Do we start with traditional? What do we start with?
I think you should start with traditional art, as in the stuff on the wall behind her. Yes.
Ta-da.
Things like that. Yeah.
Can we move that over?
You can see it that way. So, yeah. So art she has made, and then why don't you talk about those kind of classes first, and then we'll go into the digital art.
Sure. So I've taken a lot of traditional art classes about just all kinds of art. I've learned like how to do acrylic paintings, which I was never really into painting, but because because they thought it was more like complicated or difficult. But a teacher called April Taylor like made me like love acrylic painting and all kinds of painting. I've learned about different styles of art. Like Lucy is great to teach like cute kawaii kind of art, and Ms. Nikki is great for teaching colorful that one kind of art, and just all different kinds of styles and ways of making art.
And we did a lot of flex classes with those. So if anybody out there is interested in art, but you have a child who wants to get the art right, wants to get the picture right, really recommend flex classes for those.
I need to say one more thing about flex classes. It's great for like summer or summer vacation if you're traveling, because you don't have to say you're at a hotel or you're in like a car or something that you can't really have a live class in it. Flex classes are great because you can just watch them whenever you have time, so you don't have to like be like, oh well, we're supposed to travel and be on an airplane at this time, but we can't because we have to be in a live class. No, you can just watch it when you get to your destination.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we're going down a whole rabbit hole right now, but if we're going to enter the rabbit hole about flex classes, I will add one more point about flex classes, and that is Kiana and I have come to an agreement about our summer vacation, because the summer vacation in Japan is only 1 month. Yeah, it's 1 month only. And so we agreed that she doesn't have to do all of her textbook work, but she chose some flex classes through Outschool that she wants to do. So I feel like she's not spending her day just staring at a YouTube video or something or other, but she's doing something educational, something learning, and she can do that at her own pace.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another plug for the flex classes.
A little bit more relaxed. Yeah. I agree. There was a comment that came in that said that somebody's child June's child, really appreciated being able to take her time on each drawing, etc. And I've used that analogy before where like I would say Van Gogh. I don't think Van Gogh ever sat down and was like, all right, 2:00 to 2:50 sunflowers. Let's do this. Right. It's like, that's not how art works. Right. You have to be in the mood. You have to feel inspired. You have to be able to walk away when you're frustrated. And so, yeah, it really is wonderful for things like that. And then for live classes, a lot of times, some of our ongoing live classes, the projects carry over from week to week, which allows learners to really take their time and be able to move through those and things like that. A lot of so I put in the chat all of the educators and classes that Kiana loves, and a lot of them are ongoing things or classes, groups or clubs that meet time after time. And so learners don't feel that rush like they would if it was just kind of this finite schedule where they have to have something done within 45 minutes. So that works.
And I think good
really
educators, sorry, I keep interrupting you. I get so excited about school. So I think that good educators as well know that, especially with an ongoing class. So they can say, sorry, we didn't quite get to the end. Go ahead and finish it up. Post it in the classroom. And then everybody can see what you were able to make. And you can also show it to us next time. And then they can just continue on instead of getting it rushed where you need to have it done kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. I love that. Right. Because it takes some time. Very good. So you explored painting, which you didn't really think was going to be your thing, but then it turned out, what do you know? That rabbit hole was a success, right? What other forms of art have you explored, Kiana?
The biggest thing is Procreate.
Ooh.
So basically, like a year or so ago, I kind of knew what Procreate was, but I never tried it. I never actually done any kind of digital art before. I would look at people's art and go like, whoa, that's cool. How did they made that in Procreate? Like, how do you do that? But I didn't know how. And then we saw an Outschool class on it, and I took an Outschool class for like my first digital Outschool class, and then I was like, this is amazing. I got really into it, and I started like learning or like teaching myself, I guess, with YouTube videos or just articles and all kinds of things, and more Outschool classes. And I've done it for about a year now, and I've gotten so into it, or like advanced, I guess. I don't want to like sound so like braggy, I'm the best. But like that I'm actually now teaching another kid like Procreate.
That's so awesome. How did that come about?
So that came about because I have another American friend who lives in Japan, and so his children are also half Japanese and half American. And so he said, my daughter is really interested in getting into Procreate and digital art. Plus, because she goes to school in Japan, she doesn't have many chances to use English. And so he reached out to me and said, would it be possible for Kiana to teach my daughter? And that way she gets some English practice and gets to learn how to use digital art. And Kiana, because she has taken so many classes at this point on Outschool, when I offered that to her as an idea, she said, that's great. Okay, so what I need first is I need to use Zoom because I can share the screen, and then it'd be best if I could have a camera from up above. I mean, all these different things, because she's taken so many classes that she now knows this is what you need to be a good teacher.
I love it. On your 18th birthday, you can submit your teaching application.
That's what I kept saying. I'm like, this is the course.
Outschool.
This is the course now. We're going Outschool teacher course.
Exactly. I love it. So you mentioned English practice, and Cory, I would imagine even for Kiana, that's probably helpful. Is that a correct assumption, or?
Yeah, that's been a really, really great outlet for us with Outschool, because she has some friends here who speak English, but she doesn't have a lot of friends. And like we talked before about friends with the same interests. So just because you find another kid who can speak English doesn't mean that you're going to be friends. So Outschool has been really great. And not only through English, but also it opens you to other cultures. So for example, her image of summer vacation in America is what she saw on YouTube videos. But when she talks to actual kids in America, she's like, oh, some kids are actually studying during the summer, and some kids are not doing anything, and some kids go to camp. And so it just gives her a broader view of what life is like, in America and other countries.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. What's one of my favorite things about traveling is that you get to talk to people from all over the place and learn their experience. And so you're getting to do that without having to leave your house. You can just do it on Zoom. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have like now friends from like America, Hong Kong, Colombia, India, like everywhere.
That's awesome. Oh my goodness. That is such an Outschool success story. I love it. Absolutely love it. That's such a beautiful thing. Well, oh my goodness. Have we missed any art forms or art classes as we've kind of wandered our own rabbit hole here?
No, I think we've covered everything on our list. Yeah.
There you go. Well, we have been chatting tonight about exploring rabbit holes, which is basically just kind of a quirky way of saying exploring things that interest you, right? And we all probably have those moments. I know I have them when we're in the car and my kids will say, it's always something super random that I never have the answer to. It'll be like, Mom, how are tires made? And I'm like, why would I know that? Like, really, why would I know that? Right. A lot of times, rather than just saying, I don't know, it's fun to go home and look it up or whatever the case might be. And I love the fact that you both are using Outschool along with looking things up and watching documentaries and reading books and all sorts of other stuff in your homeschool life to explore some of these rabbit holes and deepen your understanding. And I really love that some of your rabbit holes led to other rabbit holes. That just makes my whole day, right?
It's a whole burrow underground, our little rabbit hole life.
You've got a whole tunnel way under there, right? I love it. So we will wrap ourselves up for the evening, but if you have not taken an Outschool class before and you need help figuring out how to find the right first Outschool class, which I can understand, if you go into the course catalog, you might think, I don't know where to start. Leave us a comment here on the replay even, or send a DM through any of our social channels, and one of us will be happy to help you. It's usually either myself or Sarah who answer those messages. We're both homeschool moms. We're both Outschool educators. We're both Outschool parents, right? So we are very competent at helping you find the perfect first class and happy to help in the process. So if you're watching on the replay, or if you caught us kind of towards the end, go back and watch from the beginning. Cory and Kiana graciously counted us down through 5 ways that they use Outschool for rabbit holes. And I want to thank you both so much for joining me today. It is always a pleasure to hear how other people are utilizing Outschool, how other people are homeschooling, and just how you're satisfying your curiosity as lifelong learners. So I appreciate both of your time.
Thank you very much for having us. It was really fun. We always share this on our Instagram, but it's great to talk to somebody about it live as well. Thank you.
Yeah. And I will so what are you on Instagram, Cory? Half schooling in Japan?
Half schooling in Japan, yes, because we are kind of just half schooling everything. Half English, half Japanese. Ken is half Japanese, half American, and we kind of do half of what we love and half of what we think we need to study.
That's a beautiful blend and a beautiful way of putting it. I love it. So yeah, absolutely. Oh, we've got to thanks for tuning in, Marie. We're so glad you tuned in. Yeah, so half schooling in Japan, Cory and Kiana are always sharing art projects and updates and Outschool goodies, and then sometimes just some fun cultural things from Japan that I love learning as well. So, which is pretty awesome. The day you two got warm sweet potatoes out of a food truck, I was very envious. It's always a good thing. Well, again, if you watch on the replay, give us some comments below, ask any questions. We keep an eye on them. So if you didn't catch us live, I know it's a holiday in the US. So if you didn't catch us live, don't stress. We're still happy to answer your questions. And I know where to find Cory and Kiana if I need to loop them in to answer a question or two. So have a wonderful rest of your day. And thanks for tuning in.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
Bye.